Ayan, so this is my interview guide questions when I first collected my data during my PhD. So again, scripted siya. I mean, lahat ng pwede kong sabihin nilagay ko dyan para mas structured siya. So, ayan. Thank you for taking time for this interview. My name is Alan. This interview is part of my data collection. And then to facilitate my note taking, I'll be audio taping. So you may also include this no as part of your statement kapag mag-interview na kayo or sasabihin niyo na yung line or statement na magre-record kayo during the interview to your informant. So pwede niyo itong sabihin. To facilitate my note taking, I will be audio taping our discussions. Only I will have the access to the audio tapes, which will be deleted after transcription. This interview may last 45 minutes or more. Basically, I'm just going to ask you questions. Please give me your answer based on your experiences in kung ano yung um, phenomenon na inyong ine-explore. Okay? So ito, pwede nyo itong maging guide when you divulge your statement no to your informant. Kumbaga pre-interview or like pre-orientation to your informant, pwede to. Okay? And then of course, by the way, no, before this, meron I just get the demographics of my informants. This one, I ask them to fill this out so that I have the data or the information. Para kapag kinailangan ko, at least I have this in hand. Pero again, um, this is just for for kumbaga, just to make sure, no, na I have all the details. Pero hindi naman siya necessary. This is not part of my my questions. Kumbaga, just to make sure that I have all the important information pertaining to my informants. So kayo man, informant demographic sheet, if you need this one, you may ask your informant to fill this out, no? And of course, before you conduct your interview, make sure that your informant is really part of the inclusion and exclusion criteria that you have set, no? For example, sa group number 2, ang kanilang inclusion criteria would be OFW, no? Na nag-work in kung saang bansa nila sinabi, in any Asian country yata yon. If that is your parameter, then you have to confirm that first to your informant. And then, also, kung part ng inyong inclusion criteria is nagwo-work na sila rito sa Philippines for example, 2 years now during the interview. So you confirm also that na you ask, ay ilang taon na nga po ba kayo nag-work as up to present to this institution? So pag sinabi niya more than 2 years, then pasok ulit sa inclusion criteria. Pero pag nalaman niya na ay hindi pala, wala pa pala siyang 1 year or hindi pala siya for example, sa Europe pala siya nag-work, so meaning hindi siya pasok sa inyong inclusion, so you have to um, cancel the interview because hindi pala siya pasok sa inyong criteria that you have set, no? So, ganun din sa group 1. If ever na, again, kailangan ang informants na inyong pipiliin ay pasok talaga sa inclusion and exclusion criteria that you have set. Now, kapag okay na tayo, you deemed na talagang pasok si respondent or si informant, then you can fill this out. And then, pag okay na to, you can proceed to this one. Okay? Ito nang sa pinaka-interview guide questions nyo. Okay? Ngayon, kailan kayo mag-start ng audio record? Of course, after this statement. Kumbaga, of course, di ba? By the way, no guys, I don't need to reiterate how we establish rapport, no? To our patients is almost the same on how we establish rapport sa ating interview or in our data collection. So you know naman the phases, right? You have the pre-orientation, you have to give heads up or details muna to your informants before the data collection, and then you explain, no, the informed consent to your informants. By the way, no, you explain the informed consent to your informants before anything else, no? Basahin, tapos make sure that the informant understand what is written there, and then you ask him or her to sign if he agrees, no, to be part of your study. So we don't coerce, we don't force an informant to participate in the interview. Okay? If on that scenario, pumayag siya, then you can proceed. And then kung hindi naman, if otherwise, ni-reject niya at hindi siya pumayag sa agreement or sa informed consent stipulated therein, then checkan niya yung ayaw niya, he will not be participating, and then you cannot force, no? So you have to call the interview off. Okay? So yun. So pero hopefully mag-participate naman, no, at mag-sign sila ng informed consent. So after getting the informed consent, then you can proceed with the demographics. By the way, at that point, dapat alam na natin na talagang pasok si informant sa inclusion and exclusion criteria. And of course, beforehand naman, you should know the details of your informant, if ever lang, na makukuha nyo na if talagang pasok siya sa inclusion or and exclusion criteria. Kasi parang hassle sa atin. If nandun na tayo, andun na siya, and then knowing na hindi pala siya pasok, no? Hindi pala siya pwedeng maging part of the interview because of the criteria na hindi pala siya papasok, no? So there. Um, so after getting the demographics, if you need it, no, then you can proceed now with the interview guide question. Along the way, no, um, dapat we establish a good communication and rapport to your informant. Of course, hindi ko na sinabi yung pangamusta. Of course, beforehand, dapat kamustahin natin, ma-feel at ease sila so that they can share authentically their experiences. So tell them na they have to be open lang to their experiences. And also, nasa informed consent naman yon na sabihin lang nila yung talagang totoong experiences nila, and no need to be worried for any for privacy and confidentiality, because only you and um, other people involved in your research ang makakaalam ng information na ibibigay nila. Okay? Tapos walang makakalabas na details about sa mga ibibigay nilang experiences. So you have to reassure, no, your informant about that. And then of course yung setting pala, no, I forgot, no, yung setting. So sabi ko nga, sa setting na most comfortable kayo and the informant as much as possible. Yung magkakarinigan kayo with privacy, no? Walang ibang tao na makakarinig, and as much as possible, in ideal situation or setting, dapat merong at least dalawa kayong interviewer, no? Or from the research team, and then merong isa pa sana na kumbaga not part of the research team. Ito yung tinatawag nating gatekeeper. Kumbaga, it's not part of the research team. Siya yung mag-ensure lang na neutral at walang mangyayari between the parties, between the researcher and the informant. So kumbaga, neutral yung gatekeeper na yon. And then of course, the other one is your informant. So kumbaga, the ideal would be, again, two researchers, one informant, and then the interviewee. Okay? Kaya lang, it doesn't happen, no, most of the time. Kaya okay na kahit at least dalawa man lang kayong researchers and and then the interviewer. I mean the interviewee. So bakit dalawa yung researchers? If possible, kung possible lang, because para lang if ever na yung isang interviewer ay mahirapang magbigay ng follow-up questions at tingin ng isang kasama niya na hindi pa na-explore yung isang idea or yung experience na to, he or she can butt in, no? So kasi ito ay continuous process. So as much as possible, gusto natin tuloy-tuloy yung interview, walang dead air, kumbaga, para hindi nabibitin or hindi nawawala yung momentum ng ating informant. So yung purpose ng isang interviewer is that pag kami na-miss out yung kasamahan niya, he or she can butt in. Ganon din naman yung isa. Kapag yung for example, na blanco yung kasama mo, you can add questions, no? And then para lang makasigurado din na talagang um, throughout the process, no, nakikita natin kasi hindi lang naman yung sinasabi ni informant yung mahalaga. Mahalaga rin yung kanyang kinikilos, yung kanyang facial expression. Kasi baka um, pinaka main interviewer, kumbaga, yung nag-i-interview ay hindi or na-overlook yung facial expression or yung mga kumbaga nuances or yung um, mga minor details na ginagawa ni informant na mahalaga, no, as part of your observation. Kasi baka nakakaiyak pala yung kinikwento niya tapos siya ay masaya, for example, or masaya yung kinikwento niya tapos siya pala ay naiiyak. So hindi congruent yung kanyang sinasabi sa kanyang facial expression. So that is something that you have to take note, no? Kaya apart from audio recording, nagno-note taking din kayo, no, ng mga mahalagang observations niyo while you are conducting the interview. If that is face to face. Sabi ko nga mas ano sana, no, mas maganda kung face to face so that you can see the interviewee up close and personal, no? Nakikita niyo yung kanilang facial expressions, yung kanilang mga kinikilos and all, no? So yun, ngayon kung hindi naman talaga kayang dalawa, yung kung isa lang talaga, initially siguro sa una, okay na dalawa kayo, tapos kung talagang hindi possible na laging dalawa, since medyo na-train naman na or nakapag-initial interview na kayo, so pwede ka na pabayaang mag-isa kasi again, may experience ka na for example. So yun, pwede ka na mag-isa siguro, one-on-one interview na. Pero yung initial interview siguro, I would suggest na at least dalawa man lang kayo or tatlo if possible para lang for the experience so that sa mga succeeding interview, nalalaman nyo na kung paano laruin or kung paano yung tinatakbo ng isang interview for qualitative research, no? So ako when I did my data collection, actually ako lang naman din, no? Kasi wala naman ako kasama. Ako lang nagta-travel actually sa mga schools kung saan nandoon yung mga informants ko. I travel alone and ayun, I just have my interview guide questions, no, and my script if ever. And then, ayun, sa institution ko pinupuntahan. Sa institution nila, doon ako pumupunta kung saan mas comfortable yung mga informants ko. And again, privacy, in dalawa lang kayo nagkakarinigan as much as possible. Okay, so yun po. Again, pero the idea, ano, dalawa kayo or tatlong interviewer, then meron tayong gatekeeper para lang ma-check yung neutrality at walang nangyayaring hindi maganda during the interview, and then you have the interviewee. Okay, just to tell you what's the ideal setting. Okay, so going back here, so pagka okay na kayo guys, no, nasabi niyo, okay na kayo, nakapag-establish na kayo ng demographics niyo, ng rapport, the informed consent was already signed, and okay na kayo, nabanggit niyo na itong audio record and all, you will proceed with the interview guide questions na. Dito pa lang kayo mag-start ng transcription. Okay? Kung gusto niyo naka-record na, yung inyong basta pagka nasabi niyo na yung audio record po namin 'to, pwede po ba can you give us permission to audio record our conversation? At that point kapagka nagsabi na, yes, okay lang, nag-yes na si informant, then pwede niyo nang i-record 'yun, 'no? Yung mga magiging conversation. Pero, for the purpose of your transcript, dito tayo magsisimula sa inyong first interview guide question. Okay? Kumbaga, in your transcript, syempre, hindi nyo na itatranscribe yung mga naging small talks ninyo with your informants. Yung inyong mga, kumbaga, pang-uuto, yung, yung pagkuha ng informed consent, yung pag-establish ng rapport. So, there's no need for you to include that as part of the transcript. Okay? So, ang unang transcription would be yung unang bato nyo ng inyong interview guide question. Okay? So ito, for my interview, I asked, tell me about your experiences in pursuing your PhD in nursing education because my study is all about their experiences in their pursuing their PhD in nursing education. So yun yung unang tanong, yun yung unang bato na tinanong ko sa kanila, no? And then from there, nag-explore na lang ako nag-explore. Though meron pa akong other mga follow-up questions here, but they are just kumbaga sabi ko nga, semi-structured tayo guys, no? Remember, semi-structured interview. So come what may, kumbaga, kung ano yung sabihin na experiences ni informants, doon kayo magpo-follow up ng question. Hindi na, for example, nasagot niya na yung unang question nyo, hindi pwede na, okay, dito na, please tell me a brief history when did you start your PhD. Hindi pwedeng ganun, na meron siyang sinabi prior and then hindi ka nag-explore. As long as, again, related yung kanyang sinabi to your central question. Okay? Basta, for example, sa unang tanong mo at unang sagot niya, may nabanggit na siya and you think na you need to explore because related siya or that could answer your central question, then you have to make a follow-up, no? With the previous answer. Okay? Hindi natin ikakahon si informant with our interview questions, no? So yun actually yung naging pagkakamali ko when I conducted my first interview or my first data collection, no? Talagang kinahon ko yung aking informant so may interview guide questions at hindi na ako nag-explore. Kaya pinaulit ako ng aking advisor. Okay? At gano'n din yung mga nagawa ko sa mga naging advices ko na. Okay? Kasi I always instruct na after your first interview, you transcribe the first interview and then I will read the transcription. Pagka nakita ko na yung transcription nyo ay superficial lang, okay, kulang sa exploration, I will let you go back to the informant to redo or to conduct a follow-up interview. Kasi pwede naman yun, ano? Pero as much as possible, ayaw natin yun. Kaya the first time, kailangan in-depth, di ba? Sabi nga natin, in-depth, malalimang interview yung inyong i-conduct with your informant, no? So, sa mga naging advices ko before, siguro meron akong dalawa na napaulit, no? Because superficial nga lang yung kanilang mga first interview. And then when they redo the interview, mas naging better na. Mas alam na nila kung paano mag-explore, magbato ng follow-up questions based on the answers of the informants. Okay? So yun. So, ayun. Make sure lang that sa unang interview for your data collection, you have the interview guide question para lang you know the structure. Pero again, it doesn't follow na you will just follow the flow of the interview guide questions. Okay? So yun po. And then, what else? Paano ko malalaman na in-depth interview siya? Kapag yung pinaka-interview lasted for not less than 30 to 45 minutes. Not less than that, no? Since kasama na yung yung pinaka whole process nyo from the first communication or first I mean the pre-orientation up to the end, siguro should not be less than 30 to 45 minutes, no? And then yung pinaka matatranscribe ninyong data, yung pinaka transcription, I would know na in-depth siya if it's more than 7 or 8 pages, no? Sige, just to discuss yung sinend ko sa inyo, QDA evidences. By the way, when you say QDA, it means qualitative data analysis. No? Qualitative data analysis. Okay, so this is an example. So ito po yung gagawin nyo. And ito yung mga kailangan kong evidences when you collected or when you do your data collection up to the analysis, no, of your data. If sa quantitative, we have statistician to compute for the data, okay? If kasi sa quanti ang dali lang, 'di ba? You collect the data, ibigay mo sa statistician, ira-run niya sa mga SPSS and other tools, then you have the result. Gano'n lang siya kadali for quanti. But for quali, similar to a statistician, I will be the one to act as kumbaga um, a statistician din, but in quali, like an expert who will see kung talagang na-observe natin yung proper qualitative data analysis procedure. Okay, yung rigorous process of data analysis. So I need the evidences na sinend ko sa inyo. So first, isa-isahin natin. By the way, gawa kayo ng folder, no, for each group. Gawa kayo ng folder, send, I mean, sa Google, you have your Google Drive, no? Gawa kayo ng drive and then you have there yung mga files or yung mga folders just like this. Ayusin yung folders just like this, no? So, first you have the transcription. Sabi ko nga, you will start your transcription sa unang button nyo ng question to your informants. No? So, bawat informants, meron kayong transcription. Okay? Ngayon, in my study kasi, kailangan ko ng description of the participant. No? Meaning, I need to get or to give a background kung ano, saan ba or kung ano yung pinanggalingan ng aking participant, no? Sa inyo, since this is just, kumbaga, hindi na naman natin kailangan maging super detailed about this. So, kahit na wag na to, no? Basta you have lang the demographics of your informant, okay na yon. Pero no need, kasi medyo matrabaho rin to, no? Kaya kahit wag na to. So, you will start with this one, no? Okay, transcript. This is for informant B. Pseudonym is B. Okay, by the way, sino yung mag-a-assign ng pseudonym? When you say pseudonym, ito ay kumbaga ay alias, no, sa informant. Kasi hindi pwedeng halimbawa, ang una kong informant ay si Ivan. So hindi pwedeng Ivan Martinez, for example, yung pangalan niya. Hindi ko pwedeng ilagay yung pangalan niya, right? Kasi it's a violation of his privacy. So kailangan natin ng pseudonym. So for the pseudonym, kayo yung mag-a-assign yan to your informant as a researcher. Okay? Inform nyo na lang si researcher na I will give you, for this interview po, your pseudonym will be participant A. Okay? To maintain your confidentiality po, your pseudonym is participant A or A na lang in short. Okay? Now, for this example, I just utilized B. Okay? Si participant B ko. Okay, so yun na nga, sabi ko nga, magsisimula yung transcript ninyo sa unang bato nyo ng question, ng interview guide question. So ito siya. So interviewer, that's me. Tell me about your experiences in pursuing your PhD in nursing education. And then you now have the answer of your informant, no? So kahit Tagalog or kung anumang lengguwahe yung kanyang gamit, then you have to adjust, no? Kung gusto niyo ng Tagalog, then baka ipilit mo yung English na question, mas comfortable siya sa Tagalog, then you have to adjust. Na Tagalogin mo na lang, no? Pero kung panglaban naman ng English yung inyong informant, then you can proceed with your English communication. Okay? So, ayan, medyo mahaba yung naging sagot ng aking informant here, which is better, no? And then, kung tingin nyo na may malalabag kayong confidentiality or privacy, you just, kumbaga, wag munang pangalanan. Do not give the specific name of the institution. For example, ito, binanggit niya yung school niya. Lagay niyo na lang name of grad school. Okay? Again, for confidentiality. Halimbawa, may binanggit siyang doktor, ilagay niyo na lang name of the doctor. Asterisk, and then name of the doctor. Okay? So, para lang wala tayong specific name or any particular name na mababanggit in your transcript. Okay. So yan, and then ayan medyo mahaba talaga yung sinabi niya, medyo madaldal kasi 'tong maganda naman kasi 'di ba kung marami talaga siyang mabanggit na experiences then much better. So ngayon as an informant 'no, I mean as a as an interviewer guys, kailangan you are very, observant and keen 'no, sa mga details or sa mga answers ng inyong informant. So that you can give an appropriate follow-up question para tama yung maibato mong follow-up question. Kasi baka mag-follow-up question ka out of the topic naman or mag-follow-up question ka, hindi niya naman pala nabanggit. Okay? Hindi niya naman pala nasabi sa kanyang prior na response, mag-e-explore ka, hindi pa nga niya nababanggit, no? So yun, make sure lang na connected yung magiging sagot, I mean yung itatanong mong follow-up sa kanyang previous answer. Pero kung tingin mo naman na, yung binanggit niya sa'yo or yung answer niya sa'yo ay okay na, sapat na, at you don't need to explore, any details about his or her previous answer, then you can proceed naman to your next interview guide question. Okay? Again, basta you will always go back to your central question. If you think na yung sinabi niya ay makakasagot sa inyong central question and you need to explore more details about that, then you can do follow-up questions about it. Okay? So yan, now dito, ayan, kung mapapansin niyo sa yung mga next question ko, hindi na siya pattern sa pinakita ko kaninang interview guide question. 'Di ba? Nagpakita ako ng interview guide question. Ang sunod na question ko is, when did you start your parang your PhD journey? 'Di ba kung mapapansin niyo hindi na siya, pattern dito 'no, sa transcription kasi medyo nagamay ko na yung kung paano ko magbibigay ng follow-up question. So, okey lang yun guys 'no. Again, sabi ko nga, flexible ang qualitative research 'no. Kung tingin niyo na hindi naman na kailangan i-follow talaga necessarily yung inyong interview guide, then so be it. Okay? You can ask question, you can answer question, you can make follow-up question as long as again, it would answer your central question. Okay? Dito, nakita ko yung importance kung paano niya napagsasabay yung work sa kanyang pag-aaral, kaya I explore more of that. Or kaya siguro baka itong question na 'to ay nasa interview guide ko pero siguro nasa last part na 'to, pero tinanong ko na dito kasi nabanggit na yon ni informant ko kumbaga, okey? Kasi pangit naman kung nabanggit na ng informant mo tapos sa dulo mo pa siya itatanong, eh, pabalik-balik kayo kumbaga 'no, sa details. So mas maganda kung nabanggit niya na, then you can throw your follow-up question based on that 'no. Kumbaga connect, okay. So yan, so how many pages is this one? So this one, this is actually my second interview 'no, hindi ko na pinakita yung first interview as an example kasi nga medyo talagang mangangapa pa 'no, nangangapa pa talaga tayo sa mga unang interviews. Pero in this second interview, nung nalaman ko na yung tamang process 'no, ayan, naging 10 pages na, which means na rigorous na at in-depth yung interview. Oh, another example ng mga notes 'no, halimbawa, tumawa si informant dito sa ano bang sabi niya dito, um, "May pinagdadaanan, dapat hindi naman ako sumali na sa mga gano'n." Tapos tumawa siya, then you can just, make a note here na laughs or tumawa siya. O kaya 'pag nakita niyong umiyak siya when saying the statement, then you can, indicate in your transcription na, informant cried 'no, or something like that 'no. Kumbaga yung observation niyo nilalagay niyo rin dito, okey if necessary. Okey, so 'yan 'no. So, guys 'no, yung interview actually mahirap siya 'no. mahirap mag-interview because siyempre ikaw yung maharap sa informant mo, you have to be observant, you have to be keen, okay? Ang hirap kaya magbato ng question. And gano'n din naman, mahirap din mag-transcribe actually, okay? Kasi, once you conducted the interview, ita-transcribe niyo na siya. Kumbaga yung pinaka-audio record niyo, you will play it and then you will record everything verbatim, 'no? Kung ano yung pagkakasabi, yun talaga yung ita-type or ita-transcribe natin. So, matagal din actually mag-transcribe. Siguro ako sa isang interview, umabot ako ng more than, siguro 2 hours or it's more than an hour 'no, before I will complete my, transcription, 'no. So, it would take more than, siguro mga approximately 2 hours before I can complete one transcription pa lang yon. So, gano'n po siya katagal. Tapos ipe-play mo pa 'yan, 'pag di mo naintindihan yung sinasabi, uulitin mo pa. Though meron ng ano 'no, meron ng mga I mean applications sa ko pagta-transcribe, kaya lang just make sure na accurate yung pagta-transcribe ng inyong audio record. I cannot suggest kung anong application yon. Basta, meron lang ilan kasi hindi pa ako nakapag-try. Pero sa mga training na attend-nan ko, meron silang mga binigay na applications that you can use 'no, for the transcription. Pero I would prefer pa rin na, manual siya so that alam ninyo yung pinaka-process and you get to know the data, by heart talaga, okay. So yun, and then so that's una pa lang yun 'no, transcription. I mean interview, you conduct the interview and then you transcribe. Now, siguro ang next question niyo, by the way ano, kasi the interview sabi ko nga tatagal siguro 'yan ng more than 30 minutes or 45 minutes to hour, to more than an hour if talagang makuwento yung magiging informant niyo. And of course, you utilize their time 'no. Siguro magbigay kayo ng kahit konting kumbaga pampalubag-loob 'no or token, a simple token to your informant, pang-meryenda or kumbaga pang-chicha ba 'no, para lang, sukli sa kabaitan na pag-a-accommodate sa inyo, okay. So yun, pero it doesn't have to be, um, costly naman on your part na just a simple token will do. Ako, siguro ako, I gave, yung ano, yung ensaymada na pack sa from Goldilocks to one interview, to my one interviewee and then to the dean I give cake 'no, depende. So kayong bahala, just a simple token will do. Since medyo simple lang naman yung study niyo, so a simple token will do, okay. So yun, for the first interview, so again, after the interview, you transcribe and then let me check, no, let me read the transcription and then I will be checking if okay yung naging unang interview. So do not go or do not proceed to your next informant before I give my go signal for you to do so. Because I need to check first if talagang in-depth at na-explore talaga yung phenomenon. Okay? Guys, no, don't be afraid to explore or ask question as long as it can answer your central question. Okay, do not again put your informant no inside the or in the box na malilimit yung sagot niya sa gusto niyo lang malaman. Kasi it doesn't happen that way. Kasi ang analysis na gagawin natin is thematic analysis, no? Okay, so yun. And sabi ko nga, no, just as a reminder, reflexivity, no, reflexivity is important. You need to set aside your prejudices, your biases, no? Ano ba yung experiences nyo that could hinder to the phenomenon you're investigating and you have to set that aside, no? You have to be neutral, no, during the conduct of interview. Okay. So, yon. So, pag okay na, halimbawa na-check ko na yung first interview and I approve of it, then you can proceed to the next interview, no? Okay, so that's the first process pa lang, transcription. Ang sumunod po na process, by the way, no, I am giving, kumbaga an overview lang of my recorded discussion na pinasend ko kay Sir Ivan and Ma'am Eileen. So I will not discuss that actually because that's part of the or that's the content of my recorded discussion. What I'm giving you now are details on how I would be checking your qualitative data collection and also the analysis part, no? And of course, natatouch ko na rin yung mga nasa discussion ko. Okay, so after for example, no, okay na yung unang transcription, then you can actually proceed to the next part of the analysis, no? So that is now your code assigning or tinatawag nating segmentation, okay? So utilizing the same ano no, the same of course the same answer or the same transcript. So ito na siya. Ang galing ko lang 'to, okay. So ito na po yung segmentation or code assigning. So you will just utilize yung transcription niyo yung unang transcription niyo and then kaya nga tinawag siyang segmentation or code assigning because you are segmenting, okay? Kumbaga, hinihimay-himay natin yung sinabi ng ating informants, no? Okay, for example, tapos nag-a-assign tayo ng code. Okay, nagse-segment tayo or naghihimay tayo ng sinabi ng informant and then we assign code. Okay? How does it work? So for example, you have participant B, okay, informant B. Ngayon, segmentation, it means na hihimayin natin yung statement ni informant meaningfully. Okay? Kumbaga, you will assign code per meaningful sentence or statement na na-utter or sinabi niya. For example, itong una, kung susumahin mo yung buong 8 sem sa pag-PhD, grasya ng Panginoon. That is already as this is one sentence actually. But this it makes sense, no? It's a meaningful sentence and it's a meaningful statement already. That's why it was assigned as B1. Okay, the code assigned is B1 and then the first statement is this one. Okay, so itong unang statement na B1 ay meaningful na. Okay, meaningful na siya. But it doesn't necessarily mean na per sentence kayo mag-a-assign ng code. It doesn't happen that way. Kasi merong mga phrases lang or kumbaga few words or kumbaga a word lang na pwedeng maging meaningful na agad, no? It depends on you, no? Kung paano nyo ise-segment or kung paano nyo hatiin yung statements ng inyong informant meaningfully dapat. Okay? Halimbawa ito. So ito, another, at tuloy-tuloy lang yung numbering, no? So B, it means it stands for the pseudonym of your informant and then yung number na sumunod is the statement number or kumbaga yung pang-ilang number ng meaningful statement niya. It's actually part of my recorded discussion. Nasa recorded discussion ko po yan. Please go back na lang doon. I'm just giving you an overview here. So B1 kasi ito yung unang statement na meaningful that come from my informant B. Okay? And then of course, succeedingly, sunod-sunod lang yung number. B1 and then 2, 3, 4, 5. B, it means ito si informant B. That's the pseudonym. And then yung number, again, that's the number of the statements now uttered by your informant. So B2, sabi niya it was God's amazing grace. Okay? So B2 na siya. And then B3 kasi ang daming mga challenges. Okay? So ito kagaya nito. Hinati ko yung sa isang sentence, no, hindi ibig sabihin isang ano na siya, isang code lang siya. Halimbawa ito, no, Isang sentence lang siya pero hinimay-himay ko pa, hinati-hati ko pa yung statements kasi meaningful na siya. Halimbawa ito, kasi ang daming mga challenges. O 'di ba yung kasi ang daming mga challenges is already a meaningful statement. Kaya naman, I assigned a code for that, kumbaga phrase alone na B3. Kasi ang daming mga challenges, so that's already a meaningful statement, kaya inassign ko siya as B3. Kasi nagwo-work ako, okay, that's already, a meaningful statement, for me, 'no, based on how I personally talk to my informant, 'no, kaya inassign ko siya as B4. And then B5 at the same time may family ako. Okay, tapos B6 may mga anak ako na dalawang nag-aaral, and then B7, so yung bilis ng pag-comply ko ng mga requirementsของpre-defense talagang itinawid ng langit. Okay? So again, sino po yung maghihimay ng or magse-segment, maghahati-hati ng statements, kayo po yun as you deem appropriate, no, sa inyong transcription. Okay? So yun. So again, it doesn't follow na isang sentence, isang ano na siya, isang code. Hindi po gano'n. Puwedeng hati-hatiin niyo yung isang sentence kung talagang puwede siyang mahati into meaningful, statements pa. Okay? So 'yan. So matrabaho rin po 'to actually 'no, kasi isa-isahin niyo po talaga yung sinabi ng informant ninyo. Okay? So 'yan, kayo po yung bahalang mag-segment niyan, and then of course, yung sa interviewer, no need to do that, no? Pang-informant lang yan. And then you will do that hanggang sa matapos. So in this example, malalaman kung in-depth siya kapag yung sa informant nyo, umabot ng more than 300 din. Okay? So in my case, ayan, nag 357 yung aking segments. Okay? The segments na umabot sa aking informants ay more than 300. So that is an in-depth interview already. Okay, so yan. Um, that's the second part. That's the second evidence that I need to see after your transcription, segmentation or code assigning. Sige, so far, do we have any questions or clarifications? May tanong po ba? Sige, before that, may I see the hands kung sino po yung mga group number 1, just so I know na nandito sila. Can you raise your hands from group 1? So we have 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, very good. So marami tayong from group 1. Group 2, may I see the hands from group 2? Ma'am Crisel, Sir Ivan, so we have 2. Si Ma'am Princess, Sir Jimmy. Okay. So more or less 4. Ma'am Mary Ann is also from group 2. Okay, sige, kung wala man po dito, make sure na ma-heads up niyo sila kasi medyo technical na po itong pinag-uusapan natin. They should be guided kung paano yung magiging role nila. Okay? At magiging role nyo rin, no, in data collection and data analysis. Kumbaga, this is both data collection and data analysis. Kasi pasasaan ba, after you collect your data, mag-a-analyze tayo. Kaya, doon na rin po tayo pumupunta, no? Data collection and data analysis. Sige, for questions, sige po, may question po ba? Or baka ito yung kanina pa lang na naka-raise ng hand. Ma'am Mayan, do you have question? Mary Antoinette, Ma'am Mary Antoinette.
Hello, Doc. Hello po. Hello, Doc.
Sige po, acknowledge. Yes, ma'am.
Doc, yung ano po, regarding lang kunwari sa transcription, Doc, are we going to ano po, yung parang iintayin pa po ba lahat ng mga, kunwari ba, kada na interview po ba, pwede na siyang i-transcribe or talagang kailangan tapusin yung, kunwari kung ilan po yung number of informants?
Ako, para lang makita natin kasi mahalaga na nakikita natin how the themes unfolds, no, per participant. Kumbaga, you have to really transcribe every after each interview. Okay? So, especially sa una. Siguro sa unang-una, no, kailangan ma-check ko talaga na, for example, after the first interview, ma-transcribe muna. Okay? And then kapagka okey sa'kin, siguro kung gusto niyong mag-collect ng or mag-interview ng 2 informants or 3 informants in a day, siguro after that, halimbawa naka-3 silang informants 'no, sa isang araw, i-transcribe agad para makita ko rin, yung mga naging succeeding interview. Okay, so yun. Pero yung una, I would require na talagang makita ko muna yung transcription before you proceed to the next interviews. Ayun po. Did I answer your question, Ma'am Mary Ann?
Yes po. Yes po, Doc. Thank you po.
Okay, sige ma'am. Ayan, so ayun, basta sa una pong interview, transcribe and then I'll be checking. 'Pag okey sa'kin, then you can proceed to the next interview at kung gusto niyo mag-3 interview sa isang araw, then you may do so. Tapos i-transcribe agad so that we can see, yung naging, pag-uusap 'no, sa 3 interviews na yun on that same day. Sige po, another question, Ma'am Eileen?
Good evening po, Doc.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead po.
Doc, yung regarding po dun sa gatekeeper, bali di ba po part din po yun ng team, pero hindi siya kailangan na mag-interview, parang observer lang po siya, ganun. Tama po ba?
Yes, ma'am, oo, tama. Actually ano, in ideal setting din si gatekeeper siya yung kumbaga, eto ideal talaga 'to, siya yung magsasabi sa'tin kung sino yung mga possible na maging informant natin or maging informant niyo. Since kaya nga tinawag na gatekeeper, siya yung nakakaalam kumbaga kung sino yung mga pasok sa inclusion and exclusion criteria. For example, these are the chief nurses or the, sino ba, yung mga head of the hospital or mga head nurses who knows kung sino yung mga possible part of the inclusion and exclusion criteria. So yun yung notion or the concept of gatekeeper. And then during the interview, andun sila just to check kung okay yung nagiging flow ng interview and then kung safe ba for both parties and neutral ba yung nangyayari. Walang coercion na nagaganap. That's the ideal. Kaya lang, medyo hassle din sa part ng gatekeeper talaga yon. And I mean, you have to give token din, di ba? Kasi lagi nandun si gatekeeper as you do your interview. Medyo talagang hassle on his or her part. Kaya sometimes, na-overlook na lang natin yon as long as we really proceed with caution and we are professional in doing the data collection.
Doc, sorry po, follow up po. Bali po, Doc, si gatekeeper is another person, not necessarily part of our group po.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Talaga, yes. He or she is talagang not part of the research team. Talagang is an individual, maybe from that institution kung saan mo pwedeng i-conduct yung interview.
Okay. Noted po, Doc. Thank you po.
So yun, si gatekeeper siya yung, yun na nga, pwedeng makapagturo sa inyo kung sino talaga yung mga pasok sa inclusion and exclusion criteria. Sige po, Ma'am Ronya. Unmute ka po, Ma'am Ronya, if you are already speaking.
Ay, sorry po. Good evening po, Doc. Follow-up
Sige,
question
ma'am.
lang po doon kay Ma'am Eileen, yung sa gatekeeper. Kung kunwari po chief nurse or part of the managerial position po ng hospital yung magiging gatekeeper namin. Na-mention niyo po before sa previous meetings namin na hindi namin kailangan ng approval letter para ma-interview yung staff nila. In that case
Yes,
po ba,
ma'am.
hindi pa rin kailangan?
Sige. Para lang din na tayo mahirapan ano lahat. Wag na tayong mag-gatekeeper talaga, no? Kasi alam ko na mga professionals kayo. Even yung yung mga students ko rin, di naman na rin sila gumamit ng gatekeeper. I just mention yung gatekeeper para lang you know the concept na meron palang gano'n. Baka kasi sabihin niyo na, ba't kami sa research namin ng Quali, wala kaming gatekeeper and all, no? So I just mentioned that so that alam niyo yung concept about gatekeeper, no? Pero in reality, hindi naman talaga nangyayari siya. That's an ideal scenario. Now, In our case, we will not be using gatekeeper kasi nga hassle on our part and on the part of the gatekeeper. And sabi ko nga, 'di ba, yun na nga, hindi na kayo magpapaalam sa institution because you can go directly to the informant themselves para lang mamales yung yung permission na kinukuhanan natin. You can go directly to the informant themselves. Ayan.
Okay po, thank you po,
Ayan
Doc.
po. Okay, welcome, ma'am. Ma'am Princess?
Dok, may tanong lang po ako. Pag po nag-interview, transcribe po kaagad, tapos saka po ipapasa sa inyo before din po gawin yung code assigning or yung segmentation.
Yes, ma'am. Opo. Pero that's for the first interview lang. For, kapag yung mga succeeding, halimbawa sa second interview, kasi may go signal na kayo to conduct the succeeding interviews kasi alam ko na okay na. After the first, you can proceed naman na continuously, no? Sa segmentation, sa other process, no? Without even my approval. Kasi alam ko na yung first interview lang kasi yung pinakamahirap talaga na kailangan ma-check natin. Yan lang po. Sa first interview lang, need ko muna talagang makita yung transcription before you proceed with the segmentation. Pero succeedingly, after that, then you can do the process on your own without even my approval. Ang next na checking ko na lang yan ay kapag nandito na tayo sa, kumbaga, matatapos na kayo, magka-craft na kayo ng themes ninyo. Pero, tawag dito, from time to time, I'll be checking na lang, no? Kung talagang na-maintain ba yung pagiging in-depth at yung tamang process. So, random na lang yon yung mga susunod na checking ko po. Ayan, ma'am.
Doc, thank you, Doc.
Sige, ma'am. Ma'am Mary Ann po, go ahead po.
Ay, hello Doc, okay na po ako. Natanong ko na po
Okay na
kanina.
po.
Opo.
Okay, ma'am. Sige po.
Opo.
Okay, so, ayan. Wala pa pong any other clarifications as of now? Sige, Ma'am Eileen.
Sorry, Doc, regarding po din sa gatekeeper. Kasi kung tama po yung pagkaka-remember ko dun sa video, may part po dun na parang may sinabi po kayo about gatekeeper. Hindi ko po alam kung towards sa discussion po ba. Basta somewhere sa part po ng paper sa dulo na parang meron pong say yata yung gatekeeper or kailangan. Parang ganun po. If
For the gatekeeper, actually, may mga naghahanap ng statements about gatekeeper sa research paper, no? Pero kung hindi naman hanapin yun ng critic natin, no? Hindi na lang tayo muna magbibigay ng stipulation about the gatekeeper. So magbigay na lang tayo ng statement about it kapag nandun na tayo. Kapag hinanapan tayo, for example, we'll be submitting the paper to a conference na and hinanapan tayo ng statement about it, then we can just add kapag nandun na tayo.
So, bali po, Doc, hindi naman po ganun yung gravity ng bearing po ng isang gatekeeper.
Yes, ma'am. Apo. Actually, sa ibang research din, wala silang stipulation about gatekeeper, no? Ang mahalaga lang ay talagang the informants that we have, no, for our research ay pasok sa inclusion and exclusion criteria, and then informed consent was secured talaga. Kasi ang purpose ng gatekeeper is to really help us find yung mga possible informants natin na pasok sa inclusion and exclusion criteria. But we as the researchers, we can do that din naman on our own.
Okay. Thank you po, Doc.
Welcome, ma'am. Sige po. So, siguro tuloy muna tayo. Kung may questions, you can reserve that for later, no? So, yun. So, transcription, okay na. Segmentation, okay na. Sa unang interview, kapag okay na yung transcription, then you can proceed to the segmentation. And then, succeedingly, you can also proceed to the next process, which is forming initial categories. So, sabi ko nga, medyo talagang rigor, no? So makikita niyo kung paano medyo mahirap talaga gumawa ng qualitative analysis using this kind of tool, or I mean using following this process. Guys, kasi if you will notice sa ibang research, very simple lang yung kanilang analysis. And that's what I did before, no? Yung sinundan ko lang kung paano gumawa ng analysis yung mga nasa journal na binabasa ko before. And when I presented that to my panel, hindi pala tama yung ganung process. So itong pine-present ko sa inyo, what I am teaching you right now is another technique na more rigor and more kumbaga accepted siya ng mga panel na talagang expert in doing qualitative, no? So, yun, baka kasi makita nyo, bakit sa ibang qualitative research, hindi naman iba yung pagkaka-present compared sa ginagawa natin ngayon. So, may variation at ito yung mas rigor talaga. Okay? So, now, continue. You can utilize this format, no? You can utilize this table. By the way, yung mga sinend ko namang files, edit nyo na lang yung inyong content doon. Burahin nyo na lang and then you just modify based on your content, no? So ito, codes for participant B. So ito yung kanyang present ko, continuation pa rin. So ito yung mahati na to the inassign nating codes, and then the second column is the initial categories, and then the third is the description or meaning. For the codes, ihilera nyo lang po dito, okay, yung mga codes na you deem necessary. By the way guys, no, ano yung kaibahan ng mga codes na ilalagay ko dito versus yung nandito sa kaninang transcript, sa segmentation and coding. Okay? Dito sa third process, kung ano lang yung mga mahalagang codes, no, na makakasagot ng central question, yun lang po yung ilalagay. Kasi for example, kung mapapansin nyo, B7 tapos B9 agad, wala yung B8. Okay? For example, sir, nasa yung B8? Ba't parang kulang? Kasi for the third stage of your analysis, ihilera nyo rito yung mga codes na important, no, to your central question or makakasagot sa central question. Okay? Hilera nyo lang lahat dyan. Okay? Just like this one. So, di ba, umabot tayo ng B333 ba? O, more than that. So, hinilera ko lang dito yung mga mahalagang codes. No? Okay? So, yan po yun. That's for the first column. Second column, this is now the initial categories. Okay? So, dito sa initial categories, pagsasama-samahin nyo yung mga codes or yung mga statements na magkakamuka or with the same thoughts. Na kung baga, pag-ugrupuhin natin, i-group natin yung mga statements ni informant na magkakaparehong idea na experience or magkakapareho ng thoughts. Yung mga similar ang concept or similar ang sinasabi niya. Okay, for example, ito, of course, sa una, magbabase kayo sa mga unang statements niya. Okay? So for example, itong B4, nagsimula ako dito sa yung B1, saan ko makikita yung B1? Hanapin natin yung B1. B1, ay ang dami. So ang daming lumalabas. Okay, so dito, B4, ito siya, juggling roles, no? Ang una kong, kumbaga, ang pinakaunang category na ginawa ko is juggling roles. Okay? So dito ang unang statement ay kasi nag-work ako. So ito siya, kasi nag-work ako. Kumbaga ililipat ko lang itong statement na to, ilalagay ko lang dito sa kanyang grupo, sa kanyang initial category. The first initial category is juggling roles. So ano pa? At the same time, may family ako. So that can be part of the juggling role. Kaya nalagay ko siya rito. Tapos may mga anak ako na dalawang nag-aaral. Tapos, ayan. Tapos B165 na agad. Ang sabi rito, dapat bilang mother, dapat nagawa ko yon. So merong, kumbaga, the concept of this statement is nag-juggle pa rin talaga siya ng kanyang role while studying. Okay? Juggling role as a mother and as a student. B166, kung hindi ako busy. So still about role juggling pa rin yan. So iyon, challenge sa family, sa mga anak. Okay, siguro kulang ako ng time for them kasi I was busy. Okay, so pagsama-samahin nyo lang, no? Okay, guys, pwede mag-overlap, no? Yung isang statement sa other group. Kasi for example, may juggling roles ka, tapos may challenges ka pa na ginawa, no? Na initial category, pwede mo rin namang ilagay doon. No? Pero eventually, you have to decide kung saan ba siya mas appropriate. Sa juggling role ba? Or baka pwedeng, yung juggling role, baka pwede siyang maging part ng challenges. So, pwede naman yung maiba. No? Pwede yung maiba as you proceed with your analysis. This is just an initial, nagpo-formulate pa lang tayo ng initial category, kaya tentative pa lang naman lahat yan. So, don't worry. No? Okay, sir, sino po yung nagja-judge? Yung kumbaga magde-decide kung ano yung mga initial category at sino yung mga ano yung mga statements na papaloob sa kanya. Kayo po 'yan as researcher. Okay, mahalaga na as a researcher, you immerse yourself, no, to the experience or to the phenomenon you are investigating para alam mo talaga kung ano ba talaga yung mga kumbaga ano ba yung mga experiences na gustong sabihin sa atin ng ating informants, no? So kayo kasi as you go along with your data collection, kayo yung nakakaalam kung ano yung mga experiences ng informants nyo. Okay? Ako as a critic, no, to your data analysis, ako yung magse-serve as kumbaga as an objective critic, no? Kung hindi ba masyadong um, hindi ba nagkakaroon ng biases yung inyong interpretation or yung analysis, or hindi ba kayo lumalayo sa inyong central question, na observe ba yung tamang process? So yun po yung role ko naman as your critic, no? As an evaluator of your data collection. So yun yung role ko. Okay, so ilan po yung initial categories na pwedeng magawa? Kayo yung magde-decide niyan, no? Ano naman siya, infinite naman siya, as long as yung mga initial categories nyo ay related or would answer your central question. Okay? So, pwede nyo, again, wag nyo nang isama yung mga statements na hindi naman mahalaga. Okay? Hindi naman makakasagot sa inyong central question. And then, dito sa last column, magbigay lang kayo kumbaga ng konting idea of what this category is all about. Para lang you are guided, no? So, description lang or meaning. Guys, we don't interpret, no? Do not interpret. Kasi di ba yung study natin, or the design is descriptive phenomenology. So, we are just going to describe the experiences of the informants. So, meaning, without our interpretation, without our biases or prejudice, no? So you just describe what juggling role is all about. Okay? So it means concerted roles and responsibilities in school, at work, and family. So yun po, kayo rin yung maglalagay niyan, no? Very short lang yan, no? So yan, for every initial category, meron lang short description para lang well-guided tayo. Tapos, kung meron pa kayong gustong i-note dito, okay, you may do so, no? Kung may mga notes kayong gustong ilagay dyan, you may feel free to do that. Okay, so going back, so that's for the first informant pa rin, and that is forming initial categories. That's the third part. Okay? Ayan. May question po for that. So nakakatatlo na tayo. So that is for the analysis. Question po. Sige, kung wala, we proceed to the next, forming initial codes. So you may utilize the same file, burahin na lang po yung mga nilalaman. Okay, so paano naman yung initial codes, no? How do we form the initial codes? So dito, ilalagay nyo lang po yung mga initial categories na na-form nyo kay participant B. For example, dito. Ito siya, di ba? Nanggaling tayo sa step number 3, yung initial categories. Okay? So juggling roles, ilalagay nyo lang dito. Ayan siya. By the way, no, inayos, medyo, na ano ko na to eh. Na-edit ko na. So pwede nyo namang ihilera dyan based on how you crafted your initial categories. So ito kasi medyo na-shuffle ko na kasi dito sa initial categories nyo, o sige, halimbawa, sunod, well-designed curriculum. So ilagay nyo lang dyan, well-designed curriculum. Nasaan siya? Ito siya. Tapos, fair and accommodating university. Asan siya? Ito siya. Tapos, modified learning. So basta lahat ng kumbaga lahat ng initial categories, hilera nyo lang dito. Okay? So the next part would be forming the initial codes, no? So dito guys, you will see the patterns. You will check for patterns and connections from the initial categories that you have crafted. Okay? Kumbaga, kaya sabi ko na pag shuffle ko na to. Okay? Kasi talagang you really need to see the connections between the initial categories to form a new codes, no? Tapos na isang alang-alang ko na rin dito yung other informants na initial categories nila. Kaya mapapasin nyo, may blank dito. Okay? Kasi nasa alang-alang ko na yung other informants there. Pero kung hindi pa, ayan, just ihilera nyo lang, just list down all your categories and then tignan nyo for patterns and connections. Okay? Kasi sa mga initial categories nyo na nabuo initially, pwede nyo pang pagsamasamahin yan, pwede nyo pang i-group sila together to come up with another kumbaga category, pero we call that now as code. Okay? Kumbaga edited categories siya, yung mga pwede nyo pang pagsamahin, tapos magiging tawag na natin sa kanya initial codes. For example, ito. One initial category is passion for further study. Tapos positive outlook, perseverance, coping mechanism. So all of these are the initial categories from participant B. Diba? May kanya-kanyang grupo yan. Now, when I analyze it for patterns and connections, nakita ko na pwede siyang pagsamasamahin. Yung 4 na categories na yan, pwede ko siyang pagsamasamahin into 4 groups. And then I labeled that as perseverance and dedication amidst difficulty. And that is now one initial code. Okay? So yun po, no? Kumbaga, tignan mo kung shuffle mo yan, paglaro-laruin mo yung categories, tignan mo kung ano mga pwede mong pagsamahin, i-group together to come up with another, with a new concept na tawag natin na initial code. Okay? Another example, organizational support, that is one initial category. Support from mentors, support from family, that is another initial category. When I realized na pwede siyang pagsamahin, nilagay ko dyan significant relational influences. Juggling roles. So, since nakita ko naman na wala naman na akong pwedeng isama sa kanya, pwede na siyang maging ano talaga, kumbaga, initial code itself, I just kumbaga, restated it na concerted roles and responsibilities in school, at work and family. Pwede yun, ano? Kung tingin nyo yung initial category ay mahalaga na talaga, no? Pwede na siyang isang code talaga, i-restate nyo na lang. Pwede na namang i-retain nyo yung pinaka-name, tapos ilagay nyo as initial code na juggling roles. Or pwede rin namang i-restate nyo just like this one. Concerted roles and responsibilities in school, at work, and family. And then, Challenges, that is one another initial category. Sacrifices in attending school distantly. So I deem it na pagsamahin, and then I restated the two. I combined the two into one group, and then the initial code for that is demands of PhD in nursing education. Okay? And then guys, no, halimbawa, naka-create na kayo ng initial code. Nakompleto nyo na yung categories, no, okay na kayo sa categories ni participant B. At ito na yung ating initial codes na nabuo for him or for her. Tignan mo na uli, okay? You check na, kumbaga, magkaroon ka na ng kumbaga ng idea lang, no? Kung ano ba yung pwedeng maging themes in mind natin. Ano ba yung pwedeng maging major themes ba, kumbaga. So dito, nakita ko na pwede ko siyang hatiin, no? Yung initial codes, pwede ko siyang hatiin into major themes na experiences beginning PhD in nursing education. Tapos ito yung mga possible initial codes na pwede mag-under sa kanya. Tapos experiences and fit amidst PhD journey. Ito naman yung mga initial codes na pwedeng mag-under dito. And then the last theme ay ito, invaluable learning experience. Okay? Kumbaga, ito lang yung themes in mind ko. Okay? Kasi again, pwede pa yung mabago as you go along with your analysis. No? And then, by the way, itong mga naka-brown, ito ay nanggaling sa mga other informants. Kumbaga, kasi napag-aralan ko na yung mga previous informants ko dito, at wala si informant B ng experience about unplanned journey, kaya wala ko nilagay dyan. Okay, ito, wala rin siyang fulfilling doctoral experience. Kumbaga, ito ay coming from other informants, no? But, sinaalang-alang ko lang siya kasi I am checking for possible themes, no? And the initial codes na pwede kong magawa. Okay? So, yun po. Ang mahalaga in this step is yung formulation of your initial codes. So, you will do this to all of your informants. Ayan. So, medyo mabusisi rin po. Medyo talagang you need to analyze. So, that's for the initial categories. From initial categories, magiging initial codes po siya. Okay? So, that's your step number 4 for the analysis. So, from here, nakita natin yung transformation ng data. Okay? So, kung makita nyo guys, no, from napaka-verbose na transcription, kumukonte na ng kumukonte, di ba? So, from thousands of words, magiging ano na lang yan, few statements or few words na lang yan in our themes. Okay, so that's your initial codes. Now, sige, proceed lang ako sa step number 5 para lang makita ninyo yung kabuuan. Again, I already discussed this, no, in my recorded discussion. I'm just giving you a heads up or an overview. So make sure na napanood po yung video or yung recorded discussion ko. So dito in the next step, no. So dito sa ano na to, kumbaga sa Excel file na to, inilera ko lang po yung mga na-formulate ko na initial codes, from initial categories to initial codes sa aking mga informants, no? Sige. So nilagay ko lang dito. Pero yun yung ito yung individual file, no, for the forming of initial codes. So dito sa step number 5, nilagay ko lang yung summary ng initial codes for all the informants para lang meron akong madali siyang i-pull out, no? So ito siya, dito, balik tayo sa ito yung si informant B natin kanina. Okay? So again, ito yung initial categories niya. Okay, kung mapapansin nyo, ayan, ito yung pagkakahele-helera talaga ng initial categories informant B. Tapos, again, ang ginawa ko nga, shuffle ko yan para makita ko or mapag-group ko siya. And when I shuffled it, when I check for patterns and connections, eto na siya. So, ito na yung naging, kumbaga, ito na yung naging order niya based on group. And then, ito na yung initial codes na nabanggit natin kanina. Okay? PhD program and learners from all walks of life. teaching and learning experience, demands of patient nursing education, concerted growth, significant relational influences, perseverance, tapos invaluable learning experience. Okay? So, kumbaga, ito yung pinaka-raw na initial categories kanina. Tapos, nung shuffle ko, nag-check ako ng patterns and connections, ito na yung naging ayos niya. So that, makakama up ako ng initial codes na mas maayos din. Okay? And then, ito lang yung themes in mind ko, no? So again, pwede ba payang maiba? So, draft pa lang yung pwede kong ito na maging major themes ko sa aking isipan during that time. Okay, tapos ito lang yung instruction on how to look for pattern. Okay, so tandaan, what is the true essence that the participant would like to convey to you? Yun yung lagi nating iisipin. Okay, so yun po, ihilera nyo yung participant A, initial categories to codes. Participant B, participant C, D, E, hanggang sa lahat, no? Ito yung summary ko. So, ayan. Guys, ano lang to ha, I have more than 12 informants. 6 lang yung nilagay ko rito, no? Just for an example. So this will help you trace back who are the participants spoke the statements, no? So participant A, ito na po, yung kanyang initial categories. Okay, by the way, di ba, hiwa-hiwalay ito kanina. Ito yung initial categories ni B, initial categories ni C, initial categories ni D. Kung nahihirapan kayong isa-isahin, to look for patterns and connection, pwede nyo i-summarize yan. Okay? I-summarize nyo yung initial categories pa lang. Halimbawa, wala pa kayong codes, initial codes na naiisip. Summarize nyo yung initial categories across the participants. Tapos, ayan, magkulay-kulay kayo kung ano yung magkakamuka across all the participants para ma-identify nyo kung ano yung mga possible na initial codes talaga na pwede nyong gawin. Okay? So ano yung mga pwede nyo isama? Yung mga categories na pare-pareho to almost all of the participants, or pwede naman yung pinaka-unique na category that could still answer the central question. Kasi ako, meron akong isang category na hindi siya common across all the participants, pero unique siya that could answer my central question. Ang tanong, pwede bang isama yon? Yes, pwede po. No? So, pwede yung common across all the participants or pwede namang unique lang sa isang participant that could still answer your central question. Okay, so yan. Again, pwede nyo itong gawin para lang makita. Mailera nyo yung mga initial categories across all participants. Pag nakita nyo na yan, then you can work sa paggawa ng initial codes individually. Ayan. Ayan. Ayan, initial codes individually. Okay, so ayan po. So after that, so meron na kayong initial codes, di ba? Sa bawat isang participant, then pwede na kayong gumawa ng summary din ng initial codes across all participants. Okay? Sir, pwede po bang hindi namin isama yung initial categories na hindi naman mahalaga? Yes. Pwede kayong mag-drop ng mga initial categories dito na hindi naman pala necessary. Okay? So yan. So ayan, kumonti na tayo. So from here, from initial categories, naging initial codes na siya across all the participants. Okay? And then from there, after that, again, you will check kasi. And then this will help you trace din, trace back who are the participants who authored the statements, no? Para lang alam nyo kung kanino nga ba yung unplanned journey na experience, kay participant B. Kanino nga ba yung halimbawa, yung fulfilling doctoral experience, kay participant A, participant C, participant D, and participant E para madali siyang balikan. Okay? Kaya tayo gumagawa rin ng ganyan. And then kapag familiar na kayo with the initial codes that you have, then you can craft now your themes, no? Now, for the themes, meron tayong emerging themes and minor themes and finally major themes, no? Yung major themes, wala naman tayong exact number kung ilan yung major themes, minor themes at emerging themes dapat, no? Kayo po yung makakapag-decide niyan based on your analysis, no? So, siguro ito, I'll just leave the discussion to my video, no? Basta ang mahalaga in creating your emerging themes, minor themes, and major themes, you will always go back to the initial codes that you have, no? You have to consider all the codes of your informants, check for patterns, for connections again and again, and then craft the emerging themes. Emerging themes, ito yung mga kumbaga, ito yung mga groups na pwedeng pumasok, no, sa minor themes. Ito walang minor themes. Pwede naman siyang walang minor themes and it can go directly with the major themes if you deem it necessary. Okay? Guys, dito sa qualitative, pa-creativean ng ng isip, no? Medyo palaliman tapos pa-unique ng isip, kumbaga, no? So, I cannot kumbaga all I can do is to check, no, kung tama yung process, but dito sa pag-identify ng mga significant emerging themes, minor themes, and major themes, I can only ask. If pag hindi nyo nasagot how important it is, then I can ask you to i-edit nyo or i-modify nyo. Okay? Pero kung okay naman yung justification nyo, pag halimbawa tinanong ko, why is that an emerging theme? Paano siya naging major theme? Paano siya naging minor theme? Paano siya naging initial code? Okay? If you're able to answer that question and provide your evidences, then I can accept that now as a good or as part of your result. Pero if otherwise, then you have to modify. So yun po, no, dito sa ating qualitative data analysis, QDA, is all about evidences. Hindi pwedeng, ay naisip ko lang, no? Kailangan lagi tayo may basis, lagi tayo may batayan. Itong major theme, saan ang galing tong major theme mo? So you have to discuss na, I have the emerging theme came from the initial codes came from the initial categories, from the segmentation and transcript that I had. And then if I ask where are your evidences, then you have to present your evidences. So ganun po yun, no? So ganun din if you, for example, create a qualitative research of your own, nag-proposal kayo, nag-defense na kayo, then that's how we check, that's how we validate your qualitative data result. Ayan, guys, so medyo, siguro in your eyes, no, medyo complicated siya and also medyo madiwara, medyo mahirap yung process. But believe me, nanggaling din ako dyan. Actually, walang nagturo sa akin ng ganyang steps. I formulated the steps on my own. Yung pagkakaturo sa akin is just, oh, you work on this without even explaining the process thoroughly. So kayo medyo, kumbaga, it was made easier for you because I laid out everything, the step by step. Kasi sa akin, when I did that for my PhD, kumbaga, may konting guide lang na sinasabi sa akin, pero yung independent study and understanding of the concept, sa akin, nanggaling lahat ng yon. So, ayan, sa inyo medyo mas madali na because all you have to do is to follow the process. Okay, so yun po. Yung sinend ko again na video to Sir Ivan and Ma'am Eileen, which I asked to be distributed to all of you. Andun po yung the rest of my discussion, no, of the qualitative data analysis. So make sure that you watch that video para mas ma-enlighten kayo. And then, if you still have questions and I can entertain questions, kapag pwedeng through PM, through Ma'am Eileen or through Sir Ivan if ever. So yun po. So that's the rest of the data analysis. Again, for each group, create a Google Drive, which contains this this folder, no? This is how I will check your QDA. So from transcription hanggang dito sa compilation. And then the informed consent, I'll send this, no, sa ating Google Drive so that edit nyo na lang as necessary. Patanggal na lang ng logo. Kahit wala naman ng logo, no, kahit sa simple bond paper lang, and then the statements of the informed consent, and then yung signature nila. Ayan po. Ayan, so any questions po? Clarifications? So from your data collection to your data analysis. Guys, pinilit ko na i-meet ko na kayo ngayon because medyo maluwag pa ako for July, no? Kasi wala pa kaming, bakasyon pa sa school namin. Though may mga ginagawa rin ako, but I can entertain you talaga and do the analysis with you up until July, no? For August, medyo magiging busy na tayo because of the classes. Kaya as much as possible, we do the process, no? Yung data collection and analysis. Yun naman yung pinakamahirap sa Quali, yung data collection and analysis. After that, yung mga write-ups, medyo madali na lang yun. Konting guide na lang doon. Pero dito, medyo kailangan natin ng konting online meet pa just to accomplish the data collection up to data analysis. Sige po, if ever na makapag-data collection tomorrow or within this week, much better. Masimulan na sana. And then yung strategy pala, no? Yung strategy on how you will distribute your task. Make sure lang that, again, everyone will participate, no? Kasi we will remove the name or the names of the member of the group kung hindi talaga mag-participate, no? Ayan, so nakita niyo na yung mga steps, no? So you can segregate kung sino yung assigned for the interview, sino yung transcription, sino yung segmentation, forming initial cut. Ang medyo, kasi dapat lahat kayo immersed, no, sa process, no? Ang medyo talagang critical thinking dito ay magsisimula yan sa initial categories to initial codes, and then the compilation. So ito yung siguro na group or siguro 2 or 3 or as a group kayo gagawa. Kasi dapat hindi hiwa-hiwala yung idea Dapat connected yan bawat isa, no? So ayan, kayo nang bahala mag distribute ng task. Pero yung aking advice before for the data collection, for the interview, and then transcription, and then iba yung segmentation. Kumbaga, kung sino yung interview siya na yung the rest of the interview. Kasi talagang, sabi ko nga, di ba, skill siya. At pag nagamay mo na siya, madali na yon succeeding sa mga succeeding interview. Whereas kung paiba-iba yung interviewer, medyo mga ngapapa yan, tapos may iba na naman. Di ba? Kumbaga naiiba yung style. No? So, consistent kung sino yung interviewer sa una, siya na yung the rest. Kung sino yung sa transcription, siya na yung the rest. Yung segmentations, siya na yung the rest, no? So, yun. Siguro, yun yung yung forming initial categories, siya na yung the rest. And then, yung initial codes to compilation, siguro as a group kayo dito. Kasi you need to brainstorm talaga kapag nasa step 3 or step 4 na kayo. Brainstorm kayo sa group para seamless yung magagawa nyong results or data analysis. Okay, so wag po tayo maglamangan, So make sure that we contribute, sa ating grupo. And then kung meron namang problem, with your members, lahat naman tayo professional dito. Just inform me kung meron tayong kailangan tanggalin, at kung di naman na talaga nakakapag-contribute kasi medyo talaga matrabaho to, then just inform me kasi dapat talagang equal yung ating trabaho dito. Okay po. So, ayan. Any clarifications or questions? Sige, medyo ginabi na tayo. Baka may work pa tomorrow, no? Sige, kung may questions, you can just PM me for your questions or clarifications. And kapag again, informed consent, don't forget, just give me a heads up kung mag-i-interview na, for example, tomorrow or sa mga susunod na araw. And then just inform me din kapag natapos na yung interview and then okay na yung transcription para mabasa ko po. Okay, so yun lang naman for tonight. Ayan, sige Ma'am Eileen, go ahead po.
Sorry, Doc. Tatanong ko lang po, di ba po, for example, ang number of participants namin ay 14. But by, sabihin natin mga 8 po na abot na namin yung data saturation. Kailangan po ba yung lahat ng 14 na yun, yung transcript or yung recorded, yun nga po, na interview, kailangan pa po ba yung i-transcribe or nasa discretion na lang po namin, pipili kami kung ano yung sa tingin namin na maganda yung magiging input po sa paper.
Well, thank you for mentioning that, Ma'am Eileen. Ayun yung significance ng bawat after ng interview ay nagtatranscribe tayo at nag-formulate ng initial categories. Because in the formulation of initial categories, doon natin nakikita if nagkakaroon tayo ng data saturation na tinatawag. If for example, yung initial categories ay same with almost all the participants, nasa 8 ka na at pare-pareho na lang, sabi ko nga, I would advise na you get 2 more informants, no? You interview 2 more informants and then you transcribe, and pagka talagang same pa rin yung initial categories na nag-arise, then we stop sa pang-10. So there's no need for you to continue sa pang-11, 12, 13, and 14. Okay? Kaya again, mag-transcribe tayo, mag-formulate ng initial categories, up to initial codes if possible, every after interview para nakikita natin if we are meeting the data saturation. Ayun po, Ma'am Eileen.
Noted po, Doc. Thank you po.
Okay. Pero kung again, kung for example, sa 10, 11, 12, meron pang bagong initial category na nagsisurface, then we have to continue pa counting, no? Continue pa doing interviews until we meet data saturation. Okay? So for example, pang 11 ay nandoon na yung nakita nyo na paulit-ulit na lang yung initial categories na nagsisurface. Again, add 2 more interviews para lang sure tayo. And then when you added 2 more at nakita nyo na wala na talaga after doing the transcription, forming initial categories at talagang paulit-ulit na lang, then we stop. Okay, so yun po. Pero siguro, hopefully, kadalasan naman nasa 8, 9, ando na yung data saturation. So siguro sa inyo, most na nga ay mga 12 or 13. Basta may data saturation na sa 10th or 11th participant. Okay, basta wag lang tayo bababa ng 7, no? Basta nasa 9, 10 tayo, okay na tayo. Sige po, so ayan. Any questions pa? Last call for your questions, guys. Sige, so I know na medyo hassle to on your part. Medyo gagamit talaga kayo ng time, no? Aside juggling of your time sa work, sa MA, and then sa family. So medyo mahirap, but since it's a concerted effort of the group, mas mapapadali natin, no? So again, we try to finish this within this month, from the data collection to the data analysis, para kumbaga medyo free ako to guide you, no? Tapos August, polishing na lang tayo nun, no? Sige, so kung wala na pong questions, I think that would be all for tonight. If you need na lang an assistance, just inform me through Ma'am Eileen and Sir Ivan. So good luck po sa inyong data collection, and God bless you all po. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Thank you for attendance. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you po, Doc.
Good night.
Good night. Welcome po.